Sir Henry ToRobert farewelled and remembered. 2 days of APEC security drills. And National Alliance and PNG Party forming front.
This is the National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Thursday's news. A 2-day mass motorcade exercise will be coordinated by the Joint Security Task Force and the APEC Coordinating Authority in Port Moresby this Sunday and another next Wednesday. Both drills will be run from the Hilton Hotel in Hohola to the APEC House along Ella Beach. The exercise will also cover the International Convention Centre and Jackson's International Airports.
The mass motorcade exercise or dress rehearsal will be conducted around Hilton Hotel and APEC House and will see 22 motorcades and 200 vehicles involved. This exercise will incorporate staff and vehicles from the APEC Coordination Authority, Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and Emergency Services.
The reason being we will be staging up to 200 vehicles and using that to replicate the movement of the leaders from the respective hotels down to Hilton Hotel. And the later part of that will include the motorcade exercises going from the APEC House back to the respective accommodation areas for the leaders.
It is considered important because it will allow the JSTF and ACA to identify gaps so final preparations can be done to successfully execute the movement of world leaders during the APEC Leaders Summit. About 5,000 security personnel will be engaged in what is considered the biggest security operation in the history of PNG.
So it's vitally important, and I support what the Director General has stressed to the public of Port Moresby, that the excess is understood, the reasons behind any road closures or disruption that may occur during the course of the exercise.
The general public is advised that during this 2 days practice, cooperation and patience is required and they should not disrupt the motorcade's drill. Suli, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Fire Services is ready for the APEC CEO Summit. With help and training from the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services of Australia, the department is ready to respond to any fire emergencies that may occur during the Leaders' Summits.
Papua New Guinea Fire Service officers have undergone training from Christopher Nilon, the Training or Client Service Officer, Training and Emergency Management, and Inspector Brendan Flynn for over a month. Inspector Flynn says the Papua New Guinea Fire Services team is ready.
Christopher Nilon and myself have been extremely impressed with the dedication of the firefighters that have come to Port Moresby from the provinces, and also the Papua New Guinean firefighters here in Port Moresby, with their skills and their dedication to the training that we've been providing for them.
The two firefighter officers from Australia have taught the local firefighters essential training on how to use the 6 fire trucks that were donated from the Japanese government through the Japan's Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Projects, or GGP. The Papua New Guinea Fire Services have also received breathing apparatus from the Australian High Commission.
Queensland Fire and Emergency Services have donated 2 compressors, and they've also donated 6 full breathing apparatus sets. This will all be distributed throughout the Port Moresby Fire Service to provide the firefighters with protection during the APEC conference, and then to continue after that for general business.
Chief Fire Officer of Papua New Guinea Fire Services, Bill Roos, says since there was a memorandum of understanding between the Queensland Fire Service and PNG Fire Services, when asked, they were happy to come and train the local firefighters.
With the donation of the fire trucks and the equipments, our boys' spirits are being uplifted, but within our means we are ready. There may be challenges, but at the moment we are ready to deliver a safe APEC.
The 6 fire trucks and equipments and uniforms given by the Australian and Japan government will be used by Papua New Guinea Fire Services during the APEC CEO Summit. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Today marks 1 year for asylum seekers since the closure of the Manus Regional Processing Centre. The discussion highlighted some of the refugees' challenges whilst being detained at the centre. One of the challenges highlighted was health.
Since the establishment of the processing centre, the asylum seekers have had to be brought to Port Moresby to seek medical help. This is because the Lorengau General Hospital lacks specialist health care, an important health service needed by the asylum seekers.
After 5 years of, illegal imprisonment, according to the PNG's Supreme Court rule in 26 April 2016, which our detention was unconstitutional according to PNG Constitution, an illegal imprisonment of about 1,500 people at the day first. Many people got mentally and physically sick in past 5 years. We have families who were set apart.
These asylum seekers have been detained for over 5 years. This has affected them psychologically. Benem Sata is a refugee himself. He has helped other refugees to seek special medical help in Port Moresby.
In past 7 months I was here, I have been dealing with medical issues and interpreting for the people who are coming to Port Moresby, to PIH for medical treatment. Unfortunately, because there was no interpreter provided for these people, so I have been going and coming and supporting people who are sick. 7 of us died because of this policy, which all their deaths were preventable by proper mental and physical care, which haven't been provided in past 5 years.
The deaths are believed to have resulted from depression. Porivai, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Stay tuned for more of today's other stories when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, the US has demanded a ceasefire and peace talks in Yemen within 30 days. The conflict between a Saudi-led coalition and Iranian-backed Houthi rebels has caused a humanitarian disaster, but analysts say it's the murder of a Saudi journalist by Saudi agents that's behind Washington's move.
A Saudi-led coalition has for the past 4 years been bombing Yemen. The aim to dislodge these rebel forces known as the Houthis, who seize control of large parts of the country and have backing from Iran. But more than 6,000 civilians have been killed in the fighting so far. This, the aftermath of an airstrike in August, which hit a school bus, killing 44 children who were on a field trip. The US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said in a statement overnight that the time is now for the cessation of all hostilities, including missile strikes from Houthi-controlled areas. And subsequently he said coalition airstrikes must cease in all populated areas. Yemen was already one of the poorest countries in the Middle East. But now with this conflict, the United Nations says more than 8 million people are on the brink of starvation. So the US wants rapid action.
30 days from now, we want to see everybody around a peace table based on a ceasefire, based on a pullback from the border, and then based on ceasing dropping of bombs.
This sudden US push for an end to the war in Yemen will add to the pressure on Saudi Arabia, and in particular its de facto leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who's already under intense international scrutiny following the murder of the prominent journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
A new report says 2 generations of humans have killed off more than half the planet's wildlife. The World Wildlife Fund says animal populations across the planet have fallen by an average of 60% since 1970.
The animal kingdom is a thing of beauty, but its future looks ugly, and humans are to blame.
The figures are incredibly stark. It's a warning sign that nature is dying and that we need to put it on life support.
Among the most alarming figures, a loss of more than 100,000 orangutans, while black and white rhinos, African elephants and whale shark populations have also fallen by around 60%.
It is a critical moment in time. It is affecting New Zealand, so everything in that report is very much aligned to the losses and the threats of loss and extinction here in New Zealand.
To put the numbers into perspective, if there was a 60% decline in the human population, you'd be emptying North America, South America, Africa, Europe, China and Oceania. That's the scale of damage.
We're using our nature as if it was an infinite commodity to be used. And what this report is very clearly saying is that has to stop, and that has to stop now.
Deforestation, overfishing, pollution and of course climate change are all responsible, which is why conservationists are calling for a global pact to protect wildlife, similar to those targeting global warming.
There needs to be a companion agreement around nature loss, and I would love our government to lead in that.
The World Wildlife Fund delivering a confronting but rousing message today. As the first generation to know we're destroying the planet, we're also the last one that can do something about it.
The 2 mountain guides killed in the avalanche near Aoraki Mount Cook have been described as incredible people. They were experienced and respected climbers, their loss shaking the mountaineering community.
They were mountain men with a reputation to match.
Both of them were sort of larger-than-life characters.
Well loved by not only the guiding fraternity, but by many, many clients.
Martin Hess just turned 50, the quirky entertainer with a knack for high-altitude cooking.
There's a classic picture there. There's a big drop below him and he's like he's waiting for the bus or something.
And Wolfgang Meyer, 58, with the stamina of a man half the age, caring, funny, and at all times unshakable.
Wolfgang was such a tough man. I always thought of him of like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of mountaineering or something.
The pair were killed while descending Mount Hicks, their client Joe Morgan the only survivor of the slab avalanche. Both German nationals, they followed their passion for mountaineering to New Zealand.
They discovered that they both came from Baden-Württemberg in Germany and spoke the same dialect.
Together they were just dynamic.
It was here in Tekopol where the two men found work and became friends. It's also where they grew their love for the New Zealand outdoors, becoming two of the most experienced guides in the area. The respect they earned evident in tributes pouring in from across the world today.
I have met those men in alpine huts and have huge respect for their work. A great guy and a real loss.
The final journey of these two extraordinary climbers captured on camera. Martin Hess sent these photos to a friend, leaving her a voice message as they waited for the weather to clear, laughing about getting Wi-Fi so high up in the mountains.
People were just staggered and speechless, really, especially to lose two such great people in one incident. It's almost too much to bear.
Friends and family now preparing to farewell the men who lived for sharing their love of adventure.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are now winding down their way home to London after their first tour down under as a married couple. The parents in waiting struck a chord with tens of thousands of people across the Pacific as they put their own stamp on royal traditions.
After 16 days down under, the Sussexes appear to have earned a Kiwi seal of approval.
Yeah, I will never forget this. It was great. I feel like I'm going to faint. Molly.
The couple's hands-on, try-anything feel-good approach going down well with fans right across the Pacific. Observers say the polished performance is a sure sign Harry and Meghan mean to stamp their own mark on official duties.
Yeah, I think for Meghan this is sort of the culmination of months and months of preparation and practice. You know, we saw her arrive in Sydney clutching her ring binders. She's been doing the research. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Even so, there's criticism of the cost. A recent One News poll showing 48% opposed the estimated $1 million hosting bill. But where glamour royals go, the press pack goes too, generating international exposure. Meghan's walkabout catch-up with former Instagram friend Hannah going global. And yesterday's welcome in Rotorua, a spectacle lauded by foreign media.
These are the moments that the press, who are all on this trip, want to write about. They're not here for the kind of controlled elements of the tour. We're here for the unscripted moments, and we're getting a lot of them.
News of Meghan's pregnancy and her 3 formal speeches on tour ramping up interest even further.
Suffrage is not simply about the right to vote, but also about what that represents.
Her ability to communicate is breathtaking compared to the rest of the House of Windsor.
Meghan brings a modernity to the royal family that we haven't seen in some years. Her life has been very different, and I don't think the palace wants to take that away from her.
Observers say Meghan's arrival enables a reallocation of workload between Harry and William and Kate.
They've spent the last 7 years really being sort of the power couple of the royal family, and now, of course, Harry and Meghan take that flag.
A task they're well and truly ready for, given what we've seen so far.
More concerns have been raised on the issue of over 400 refugees and asylum seekers living in Manus and other parts of Papua New Guinea. A panel discussion held in Port Moresby today highlighted some of the struggles those refugees face and the position of respective PNG government authorities on where and how it has helped these refugees. These government authorities include the Immigration Department, the Catholic Church and individuals in the legal sector.
The discussion highlighted some of the experiences those refugees had encountered when they arrived on Manus Island. While most had intended to go to Australia, they are now stuck in Papua New Guinea for over 6 years.
Because of lots of unfairness and Australian policy, we were divided to 3 groups. One was kept on Christmas Island, one group according with families was sent to Nauru, and about 1,500 only males were sent to Manus Island.
Since 2012, over 1,000 refugees seeking asylum have arrived on the shores of Papua New Guinea after they were refused entry by the Australian government under the leadership of Kevin Rudd as the Prime Minister. They were detained in Manus for over 5 years. However, when the Supreme Court ordered for the closure of the detention centre in October 2017, the Australian government has said little about the resettlement of these refugees.
When this High Court order that came out saying that the detention on the naval base was illegal. And so they became tough. They stopped them from coming out. Refugees coming out to us. They stop us from involving with them because they were saying, we need to be careful that they do not develop roots here, so that when we send them out to a third country for resettlement, that they would be ready to go. So many years have passed, we haven't seen that happen yet.
According to the Immigration Department, all asylum seekers who had arrived on Manus Island have been processed and are ready for resettlement, either in PNG or a third country. Meanwhile, former human rights lawyer and now NCD Governor Powes Pakop is not happy about Australia's silence on the next step that should be taken to resettle these refugees. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
You're at National EMTV News. Stay tuned for more stories coming up after these messages. Welcome back. The 1st of November 2018 is the 45th anniversary of the Bank of Papua New Guinea, established in 1973. But it was a somber celebration for bank staff who attended the funeral of the first governor of the Central Bank of PNG, Sir Henry ToRobert. He held senior positions like President of the PNG Olympic Committee, Chairman of Credit Corporation and Chairman of the Gazelle Restoration Authority. He will be laid to rest in his home village in East New Britain Province.
Made the Bank of Papua New Guinea where it is today.
Sir Henry was the first ever governor of the Central Bank of Papua New Guinea from 1973 to 1993, serving the longest tenure of 20 years in any Commonwealth country. He was instrumental in the transition of the Central Bank of Papua New Guinea from a branch of the Australian Reserve Bank, of which he was the manager, The Bank of Papua New Guinea is responsible for distributing PNG's currency of Kina and Toya, and Sir Henry ToRobert was chairman of the currency working group, which saw the designs of the coins and the banknotes. As governor, it was his signature on the country's legal tender for 20 years, from 1973 to 1993.
Thank you, Sir Henry ToRobert, for the legacy you have left behind. Farewell and rest in peace.
Sir Henry passed away from an illness at the age of 75, just 4 days shy of his 76th birthday, on the 22nd of October. His funeral was held today at the Sioni Kami Memorial Church in Port Moresby. He was well remembered at his funeral by several statesmen in the country. Sir Michael Somare, who was then Chief Minister during the establishment of the Central Bank of PNG, Sir John Caputin, Sir Mekare Marauta, Sir John Dawaninkura, and other former staff members, including the staff of the Central Bank, stood firm as his casket rolled in.
During his long and illustrious career as governor, Sir Henry oversaw the growth of the Central Bank and the financial system of the country.
Sir Henry was instrumental as well in the establishment of the PNG Olympic Committee. He was the president in 1980 to 2000, and then again from 2003 to 2012. During his tenure, PNG hosted the 1991 Pacific Games, and he was part of the bid committee that secured the 2015 Pacific Games as well. Sir Henry was knighted at the age of 39 in 1981 on the recommendation of then Prime Minister Sir Julius Chen, and in 2015 he was again nominated by Sir Julius in the 40th Independence Anniversary Honours List, from which he was bestowed the title of Chief under the Grand Champion of the Order of Logohu for services to the financial sector and as the longest serving governor of the Central Bank. The office where the Bank of Papua New Guinea is located was named after him, the ToRobert House. Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
The largest political party in the parliamentary opposition today welcomed 5 more members, boosting its numbers in preparation for an expected vote of no confidence. Today, the National Alliance welcomed members from the PNG party who have resolved to merge with NA in a move to bolster numbers. NA party leader Patrick Pruach announced this development in Port Moresby.
Flanked by its parliamentary members as well as founding party leader Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, National Alliance party leader Patrick Pruach confirmed their increase in their numbers today, with the addition of PNG party's 5 members officially joining NA. According to Mr. Pruach, this was a way of solidifying the National Alliance, especially when there were talks of a looming vote of no confidence due in early 2019.
What is important is that by merging with PNG party, it creates a critical mass as one single party. And then we have 16. And in the days and weeks ahead, we will have some more joining.
Belder Nama, the leader of PNG party, has returned back to the party he was once a part of when he first entered politics. The member for Vanimo Green made it known that this was a calculated move to solidify the parliamentary opposition.
Every leader has an ambition to be the Prime Minister of a country. But I think it is time that we leave aside the personal interests, personal egos. After having several meetings, we have decided that this is the best option. Best option for our people, for the country as a whole.
With Mr. Nama, the other 4 members of PNG party are now NA members as of today. And according to Semekere, they are now stronger and more prepared to provide a better alternative to the current government.
This measure is also a very loud and clear message to the public and to our good colleagues on the government side that NA is ready.
Whilst the spotlight today was on the elected MPs, former Prime Minister and the party's first leader, Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, spoke of the need for a change in government following what he says are bad decisions affecting the people of Papua New Guinea.
To these members, they know the frustrations that they are going through, and they keep keeping it quiet.
In addition, Sir Michael also hinted at factions within the ruling coalition. Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
With the official increase in numbers, the National Alliance is more confident in their chances in a looming vote of no confidence. New party member Belden Nama says the opposition understands that there are a few good people in government at present who they can work with if the opportunity for a change arises.
We have created this monster, and we have moral obligation to our people of this country to remove him. And I am now calling on the members who are in the O'Neill regime. We have very good members there. We have good ministers. I am calling on them to make the decision for your people, not for National Alliance, for your people, to stand up with National Alliance and be counted.
Government has been changed before. Just remember this, Peter O'Neill had five people. We have 16, and in the days and weeks ahead we will increase our number.
Meanwhile, in response, the government says rearranging deck chairs in the same boat is not going to increase numbers for the opposition. A statement from the Prime Minister's office sent to EMTV News late today says outspoken leaders who have been included in the NA camp today, like former People's Democratic Movement, PNG Party and Pangu MP Sir Makere Marauta, would not add value to the opposition's camp. While this is the opposition's first official public announcement about consolidating its numbers towards a potential vote of no confidence, the government has remained tight-lipped about whether such a vote is a matter for them to be concerned about. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has urged politicians and leaders in New Ireland Province to work together with their governor to make autonomy work in the province. He said this when signing the Powers for Service Delivery Agreement with the New Ireland Governor Sir Julius Chan on Tonga Island yesterday. According to the Prime Minister, this marks a historic day for the province by allowing the people to manage their own affairs and communities. He said that the government is not trying to replace the provincial government systems, but empower the provincial government systems for full autonomy for the people. The government will try its best to empower 3 different provinces and aims to achieve that within 7 years to cover all 22 provinces by the country's 50th independence anniversary. New Ireland Province is among 2 other provinces who received provincial autonomy this year. The improvements on the process of the tuition fee-free policy in PNG was discussed yesterday in Port Moresby. The TFF has made improvements in terms of accessibility since its establishment in 2012. Senior Research Fellow of the National Research Institute, Dr. Kilala Devete-Chi, says that the TFF has greatly improved since its implementation.
Since the implementation of the tuition fee-free policy in 2012, the National Research Institute has conducted research into its progress and has looked at the improvements of the policy program. NRI aims to provide inquiries by conducting research into issues, informing the people, and being agents of influence by making recommendations about the issues concerned. Speaking on the second day of the 2018 CIMC National Development Forum, under the theme Improving Education Quality to Achieve Medium Development Plan 3, NRI's Senior Research Fellow Dr. Kilala Devete-Chi says that the TFF has improved one step further by being more accessible. The TFF in PNG has now made progressive improvements in terms of accessibility as researched and presented by NRI.
As we've gone around the country and what we have seen, access has actually improved very drastically around the country. Students, children that were never in school before are now in school simply because parents do not have to worry about paying school fees.
Before the improvement of the accessibility of TFF, Dr. Devete-Chi said there have been financial constraints due to lack of funding. Dr. Devete-Chi highlighted some of the issues involved during the implementation of the TFF.
A lot of things that have come about as a result of TFF. Okay, one is increased enrollments. There's a lot more children in the classroom now compared to the past. Overcrowding is another one, because children are in the classroom, meaning that most children are now in schools with less infrastructure.
Dr. Devachi added that issues can be improved by way of increasing funding, and that the management of the funding should be managed well upon receiving the funds. Further recommendation by the Senior Research Fellow and her team would be for proper management training for those responsible for the funds. Elizabeth Guka, National EMTV News.
Cocoa farming is not as popular as oil palm farming in the Pomio district of East New Britain. If nurtured well, it will become a thriving industry for this remote corner of the province. But the growth of the sector only hinges on those who prefer cocoa over oil palm.
This is Marana, a small village community of about 200 men, women and children in the West Pomio Mamusi LLG of Pomio district. Here the villagers are working together to build a new cocoa nursery for young cocoa seedlings.
Now let's but you know how finish big work and stop it.
The village is part of the Mangan tribe, a clan that owns a larger portion of land. About 1/3 of it is now being taken over by oil palm. Over the years, there has been infighting between various factions of the clan. While some want oil palm, there are others who don't want it.
Time project, this look major project problem coming inside. This look problem to conserve busem stop it or solwara. So we plan line lo yen, we plan no ting long. This look major project eh. We plan like it. Ball resource belum tol wale boleh mas tapul sem. So the tol mangi long behind time boleh mas usim.
The struggles for the farmers to grow cocoa in this part of the province wasn't an easy one. Poor road infrastructures, lack of technical expertise and limited markets have made the crop difficult to farm. But according to the district's administration, it is the people's choice whether to grow oil palm or cocoa. But amongst the growing trend of oil palm farming, cocoa is slowly thriving. Until recently, there are hints of progress made in the district's cocoa sector. The Cocoa Board of Papua New Guinea has established an office at Palmalmal, the district's headquarters, to provide advice on cocoa farming practices, and there are freight subsidies also set in place for cocoa farmers. The people have been encouraged to come to a realization and take advantage of the developments that oil palm has brought to the remote district.
The way forward long, addressing more issues. All get the proper ground, all get the landowners. You must sit down, now one bell, now you must walk one time.
Much hopes to help nurture the cocoa business now rests on the traditional landowners to set aside their differences and come up with an understanding and allow cocoa and oil palm to coexist. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
You're watching National EMTV News. Stay tuned for some sporting action up next in Chukai Sports.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Rugby League International Federation has plans to grow the game in the Pacific region. They plan to not only develop the game with Tier 1 matches, but on all facets starting from the Under-10s competition.
This is an interesting time for the International Federation, with the development work going on in the Pacific region. They aim to have matches played in different Pacific nations by bringing in teams from the Northern Hemisphere.
And also not just to keep it here in this part of the world, and as we have Dave Rotherham here for the English Rugby League, is bringing teams down, younger teams down into this part of the world, and also having that reciprocated where we're taking teams back to the Northern Hemisphere to help acclimatise them.
This also gives a chance for Pacific Island countries to showcase their diverse cultures through rugby league. Not only will the RLIF help develop the sport, but also support local federations.
We need to be working on both hemispheres, and we need to be developing the game here in the Pacific. But this is not only just about the development, but it's also making sure that we are supporting all the teams, plus also supporting the local federations as well.
The RLIF annual conference will be held later this month in England, where PNG RFL Chairman Sandy Saka and CEO Reata Rao will attend. This is where the international playing calendar for 2019 will be drawn up.
It's a really interesting program. We've got some new tournaments that we're talking about, and that's tournaments where it's building on the old Pacific test matches and moving those not only at the mid-year towards the end of the year as well, playing for cups, playing for trophy lifts and shields, and those sort of programs as well. And I think also not only with that, we're looking at now moving a lot of the rugby league around the Pacific as well.
The calendar may see PNG hosting teams from the Northern Hemisphere and the Pacific region in some international matches next year.
Some of those matches at the end of next year, we're looking at some really great international tournaments. Teams from the Northern Hemisphere coming down here, and what we hope to do every year, to, as I mentioned earlier, with the tournaments moving around the Pacific, absolutely bringing teams into Papua New Guinea.
Darty, he gets a pass away, Butterfield. That is brilliant stuff, and Nixon put on debut.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
PNG RFL CEO Reata Rao has encouraged fans in the nation's capital to attend the Kumults versus Knights match this weekend. He says this is the last game for the Kumults for 2018 and hopes fans can pack the Osage National Football Stadium on Saturday before the match kicks off at 3 p.m.
But be nice to see and encourage all our fans to turn up and watch the PNG Kumults take on the England Knights. What we saw on Saturday in Lae, the class of the England Knights, shows that our guys are going to really come up. It's all written on the papers. So they're looking for a win. We're also looking for a win. So we'd like to get all our fans to come and support us till we get the win. So please don't forget, go to Brian Bell, Vision City, and all the ticket selling outlets, and get your tickets out there, because we'd like to see everyone come and enjoy a great festival rugby league against the England Knights, and which is going to be the last game for 2018 season.
The National Capital District Commission, in partnership with local construction company Tough Builders, donated brand new jerseys to the 4 Mile Cats rugby league team that competes in the Hohola off-season competition in Port Moresby. Upon handing over the jerseys to the players, NCDC representative Killer Dick challenged the youths to be good ambassadors of sport, both on and off the field.
For the first time over 2 decades since the establishment of the team, this is the first time NCDC has come on board to support a rugby league team from 4 Mile. The team, 4 Mile Cats, was formed in 1996, almost 22 years ago. Yesterday, the team gathered at the Works Park to receive brand new jerseys from NCDC and Tough Builders. The small but significant event was witnessed by former players, mothers, fathers, community elders, children and families of the current players. Killer Dick from NCDC's Sports and Youth Department did not only congratulate the players, but also advised and encouraged them to be good role models in their area. He says while 4 Mile is known for petty crimes and seen as an unsafe area for families to move around, it is a challenge for the players to prove to NCDC that they are capable of looking after the 4 Mile area and make it free and safe for everyone to move freely. Owner and sponsor of Tough Builders, Thomas Corey, described the efforts of the players who took time last week to clean the area out of free will without asking for anything in return. Corey says time, commitment and hard work is all one needs to do if they are hopeful to one day wear a Kumults jersey. While this is the first ever support the team has received, Corey says the team has taken off to a good start with NCDC and hopefully this support will continue. 4 Mile Cats also participate in other rugby league competitions such as the Ipatas Cup and NCD Governors Cup. 4 Mile Cats will wear their brand new jerseys once the off-season competition kicks off. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
TrueKai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
TrueKai Sports.
Welcome back to TrueKai Sports. To football, one of PNG's finest footballers, now turned coach, Reginald Davani, has become the first Papua New Guinean to coach in the National Premier League in Australia. Speaking to EMTV, Davani said football in PNG has taken a positive stride in getting its administration acts together, with the future looking bright for the code in the country.
Looking back from his experience in the 2016 OFC Nations Cup, Davani recalls the experience as a testament of hard work and dedication that saw the national side shoot to prominence.
What happened with Fleming and us in 2016-17 was just the beginning, and we were trying to continue to progress on from that. So it was a good start, and then we're trying to progress onto that. So I guess the next phase would be to just continue on what we're doing.
Davani's experience in the Australia's National Premier League has given him a fresh look towards the game, and believes with that experience gained made him a better coach.
I think it's definitely helped me, and in terms of how I see the game now and what things I can tweak on and things like that, it's definitely been a bonus.
Looking to the future, Davani says the PNG national side packs a lot of talent, with most of the players still have a lot of playing years, which is a positive thing for the national men's team.
Future is bright for the country. It's just about now, where do we take it now to the next stage, and what do we need to do?
Davani also took time to commend the PNG Football Association for coming together for the good of the game, and the appointment of the new president, which he believes is a positive step for the code in the country.
You know, we needed everyone to come together, because at the end of the day, it's about the game, and it's about our players, it's about the clubs, administrators, you know, and the grassroots. I think, you know, that's the base of the game, is our supporters, our fans. You know, we just want the game to continue to progress. So now that we've got the president, congratulations to Mr. Kapinato. You know, it's been his goal, and finally he's achieved something.
Find out more on Davani's aspirations and passion to coach the national side and his coaching philosophy on Sports Scene, Monday at 8 p.m. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Now that story wraps up TrueKai Sports for tonight. Up next, there were the details. Stay tuned.
TrueKai Sports. TrueKai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Good night. Look at the weather forecasts in the southern region only. Becoming cloudy in Port Moresby, mostly fine in Daru and Alotau. Few showers in Popondetta, some showers in Kerema.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Thursday, the 1st of November 2018. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing and good night.